stop. Before you guys try doing any of the shit that you're about to see in this video, y'all need to be aware of something that these Saturday afternoon technicians are not telling you. You're going to need access to a high-end scan tool to do the idle relearn after the throttle body is cleaned. If you don't have access to a high-end scan tool, my advice to you is don't fuck with the throttle body. Now I'm going to go more into this at the end of the video because right now I got a throttle body to clean. Also, if this is the first time you're seeing me, because I'm starting to do this era of Chevy pickups, this content is for mature audiences. If you're not a fan of the F word or any of that shit, this isn't built for you. You know what I mean? You guys can go watch Nickelodeon Auto Repair. But this is real right here. So with that out of the way, let's clean the throttle body in this thing. So what I've got here is a 2008 Chevy Silverado. This truck is clocking in at a cool 100,000 miles. And what I'm doing today is cleaning out the throttle body on this thing. Now this thing does have some idle fluctuations. Again, it's 100,000 miles. I don't think any work has ever been done to this. And I already looked to see what was already out there for this truck. There was like 60-some thousand hits for that search on YouTube or whatever. So chances are you've probably seen this before. This one's a little bit different because it has some crappy intake on it. So accessing the throttle body might be different with this stupid intake on it, but the cleaning procedure as well as the reset are going to be just like yours. Get this engine cover up out of the way. I'm going to have to get this tube off. Like I said, this is a little bit different than the factory intake on this truck. I hate these locking tabs. This thing's got 4 10mm holding it in. Got 2 nuts up top, 2 bolts on the bottom. So she's gummed up a little bit. So here's a throttle body. I got some of this throttle body cleaner. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to spray this directly into the throttle body. You guys remember this. If you watched my Trailblazer video from like 10 years ago, wife's toothbrush, spray the cleaner directly on the toothbrush. I'm going to pull this flappy back. And I'm just going to start massaging this throttle body with the toothbrush. This one is actually not in too bad of a shape for 100,000 miles. Again, spray the brush, not the throttle body itself. I don't know if you guys can even see that last little chunky in there. So as far as I know, there ain't no magic crap in a can that's going to clean it out like this. Let's go ahead and slap this thing back in here. Even though I'm starting to embrace the electric wrenches and ratchets and shit, I'm still kind of old school as far as tightening them up by hand. We're getting there. Well, that's the long, boring part of the video where we just clean the throttle body. No big deal. But now we're going to get to the part which is the whole reason for me making this fucking video. The idle relearn. Now, in some of my other videos, you guys have seen my other scan tool, my GM Tech 2. Some people say I'm a fucking elitist because I have that. So I'm just going to use my Modus, which is something that I guess you could say is more affordable or whatever. You don't have to use a Tech 2 to do this. But you can't use like a cheapy Actron code reader or something. All right, so you're gonna get shaky cam footage here. My tripod is not gonna go in this far. Hopefully you guys can read this. Go into module setup, idle learn reset. Engine must be off and ignition key on. Yep. Test is complete. I'm not going to get too technical with this shit, but a lot of times on these things, if the idle learn hasn't been done, then your throttle position desired and actual throttle position, they don't agree. So like I said, if you guys don't have the means to do this part of the procedure, my advice to you is don't fuck with it, especially if there's nothing wrong with the truck, especially if you get the bug one day that you're bored and you need to get away from your nagging wife and you just want to go outside and fuck with your truck. Don't fuck with the throttle body if you can't do this. So why am I telling you guys not to clean the throttle body in this era of truck if you can't do the relearn? Well, really, there's three possibilities that can happen if you try this. Well, number one, you could end up with a stupid high idle in park or in neutral, and then when you do shift it into gear, I mean, it'll bang into gear. Number two, the check engine light and maybe even the reduced engine power light will come on and they can't be turned off with a scan tool. Even if you try to clear codes or disconnect the battery, you cannot clear it out. And of course, there's number three, nothing happens. You clean the throttle body, you put it back on, and nothing happens. That is a possibility. But I really want to focus on the first two because that's the shit that's going to cost you, as you're about to hear, potentially big bucks. Now, from what I've seen, in throttle body cleaning go wrong, what'll happen is either you just have to bring it to a shop, a competent shop, more on that later, and have them do the idle reset, or in some cases, the actual PCM has to be reprogrammed. Now, I'm not an engineer and I don't have access to how the computer stuff works in that era truck, so I can't really tell you exactly what happens. I can just tell you what I end up doing to have to fix it. Statistically, like I said, an idle reset with a scan tool is what fixes it, but there's been cases where the PCM had to be reprogrammed or recalibrated, if you will. And again, I don't know what happens to it. That part doesn't matter. You know, my job here is to give you guys the information that you need, and you guys can decide if you want to roll the dice or not. But just think about it like this. You clean your throttle body for whatever reason. Now your truck, you start it up, and it shoots up to 2,500, maybe even 3,000 RPM. Put it into drive and it, boom, slams into drive. A lot of people would be scared to drive the truck. And I mean, that's totally understandable. I get that. So in that case, you're gonna have to get the thing towed somewhere. Same deal with reduced engine power light. You're gonna be limping that motherfucker to a shop, and in some cases you could do it, you know, if your local competent shop was pretty close to you. But if you got to go out like on the big highway and you're in reduced engine power mode, you're rolling the dice. You might end up getting a tow. In either of those two scenarios, you're faced with a tow bill, then a diagnostic charge, and then you can only hope that the shop that you go to is competent enough to address a throttle body issue. Okay, so let's just say you rolled the dice and you said, you know what, for whatever reason, I'm just going to clean my throttle body. You clean the throttle body, and now either you've got the reduced engine power and check engine light, or the idle is stupid high and park in neutral and it bangs into gear. Well, now you've got to roll the dice taking it to a repair shop, because the following is a true story. So for whatever reason, you decided to clean out your throttle body in your Silverado, and it went wrong. You got the reduced engine power and your check engine lights on. You've tried clearing the codes and it doesn't work. And now you're kind of screwed because you need your truck to like go to work and do things that you need your truck for. So you decide that you're going to take it to your local garage. I mean, your local garage has been servicing your family's cars for the last 20 years. They've worked on your truck. They've been good, you know, changing your oil, maybe putting on new tires, brakes and stuff like that. And you figure, well, I'm just going to take it to the shop. They can take care of it, right? Right. So you have your truck towed to your local shop. Now they've got to diagnose the problem. And they call you up and say, yeah, you need a new throttle body. Okay, so you say, okay, whatever, put a throttle body on it. That shop puts the throttle body on it. They can't even get it out of the shop. I mean, as soon as they start it up, the thing revs at like 3,000 RPMs. It's got reduced engine power. It's fucked up. So the shop says, well, we must have got a bad throttle body. So they have to order another one. Now you've already waited 2 to 3 days for them to get this throttle body. You got to wait 2 to 3 days. But the shop's only open 5 days a week. So now you're without your truck for a whole week going into week number 2. A couple days goes by and they call you up and say, you need to have the computer replaced. You're like, damn, calm down, man. You sound disgruntled. You know what I'm saying? All right, put a computer on it. So this shop goes, they get a computer from a junkyard. They put that computer on the truck. It doesn't fix it. In fact, the truck doesn't even start because, you know, computers need things like programming, security, relearn, stuff like that. But that's for another video. The shop then puts the original computer back on it. It's still got a stupid high idle, reduced engine power light, and they tell you just to pick up the truck and you're going to have to take it somewhere else. And you get a $900 bill. You're in this repair for like 900 bucks, you know, so you get pissed off, you go up there, you drive the truck home because you're just like, you know, fuck it, at this point, I'm not putting any more money into this thing. Maybe you take it home and park it in your yard for a couple months, and eventually at some point, you know what? These motherfuckers have to make this right because I paid $900 and I need to get my shit right. So you take the truck back. Unknowns to you, in between the time that you pick the truck up and it sat for a couple months and you taking it back, one of the guys quit and they hired a new guy. Now when you take the truck back, the job goes to the new guy because it had already been passed around the shop like a blunt full of whatever fucking crazy weed you guys smoke nowadays. So the new guy's been there for a couple weeks and he's kind of established himself as somebody that can, you know, diagnose problems and come up with solutions to those problems. Technician has access to everything that's been done to it, and he's going through this history and he's seeing shit like, you know, replace a computer with a junkyard computer, replacing the throttle body. That technician decides to do his own little investigation, so he asks the coworkers that are still there who had worked on this truck, well, what'd you do to this thing? What happened? And as this story gets put together, there's one thing that's missing with all this shit. No one ever did the idle reset. That means that this truck got 2 throttle bodies, one of which was returned under warranty because it was defective. There's nothing wrong with it. They put on a PCM, not knowing that you can't just interchange PCMs on modern vehicles like that. You know, it was basically to the point where they gave up. They didn't know what to do. Really, they were just hoping that you were going to pay the 900 bucks and they never see you again. You know what I'm saying? So after looking at the truck, looking at data, looking at the history of the work that had been done, talking to the people that had worked on that truck at that shop, at the end of the day, it just needed the idle reset. And I swear to fucking science on that shit. An idle reset took care of the check engine light, the stupid high idle. I mean, the truck ran beautiful after that. Now, sometimes I think, well, what would have happened if I didn't even work there? You know what I mean? That truck would probably still be sitting there right now. You know what I'm saying? The point I'm trying to make here is those problems could have been avoided if the guy never cleaned the throttle body in the first place. You know what I mean? If you don't believe any of this stuff, you guys could go to some of these other Silverado throttle body cleaning videos and look in the comments and just see what people are saying. People that, you know, did the service and now either they're dealing with the check engine light, reduced engine power light, the idle's stupid high. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Now you guys can go and look at my post history. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I had a more modern era Silverado, like the one I showed in this video, and the battery died while I was doing some key on engine off testing. And afterwards, the truck idled like crap. I went ahead, I cleaned the throttle body, and then it was even worse. And the commanded throttle value was like 25% whenever you were in park or neutral. It kind of went down a little bit when you put it in the drive. And what it ended up needing was the idle relearn, which could only be done with the scan tool. So this isn't something that's new to me, but it's crazy that, you know, these people go around posting, you know, clean your throttle body fast and easy videos, and they're not telling you that, you know, you got to do an idle relearn after you do it. Anyway, my whole point is, I'm not trying to scare you guys into not doing work on your truck. I'm the biggest do-it-yourself advocate there is, you know what I'm saying? I just don't want you guys to do something that could cause a problem. And I'd rather warn you. I would rather you guys watch like the first 20 seconds or whatever of that video and say, wait a minute, I shouldn't do this without a relearn, and close the fucking tab. You close the video, don't even watch it, get it out of your mind. I'd rather just you guys have nothing to do with this video or this procedure at all. It's my obligation to give you guys accurate information, even if it means that you guys are gonna not watch the video. To me, you guys getting the accurate information is more important than minutes watched. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Anyway, to wrap this whole throttle body thing up, understand the risks that are involved. Understand that, you know, a Saturday afternoon, you're just trying to get away from your wife because she just won't shut the fuck up, and you just want to go outside and do something to your truck. You don't give a fuck what it is. You might want to think about cleaning that throttle body, at least on this era of Silverado. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to have more videos for this era of Silverado coming up in the next couple months. It's not going to be a weekly thing or anything like that. Maybe every couple months, not really sure. But definitely subscribe if you want to see more. All right, so for anybody that might want to run their mouth about how my procedure's wrong or whatever, here's my Trailblazer today. It's February 2nd. I'm clocking in right now at 211,000 miles. This is the same Trailblazer that I cleaned the throttle body on my way. I don't know, it was like 10 years ago I did that shit and put it up on YouTube. 9 or 10, something like that, but it's been a long time. I've done it a couple times because the motherfucker cakes up or whatever. Do the cleaning procedure, do the reset, which in these trucks, you just have to pull a couple fuses, let the PCM reset. I mean, it's a done deal. I was reading some of the comments on some of those throttle body cleaning videos about how that procedure doesn't work, or you should never spray a toothbrush and then clean out that shit. You know, you can leave all the ductwork on, and just all kinds of shit. And a lot of the shit was wrong and ridiculous, you know what I mean? Like I said, February 2nd, 2018, I'm at 211,000 miles and this motherfucker's still all right. And since I did that video, whatever it was, like 10 years ago, I've cleaned this motherfucker a handful of times, you know? Like I said, the whole big point of me doing this little thingy right here was because motherfuckers saying that the shit doesn't work. Good Lord. I mean, these motherfuckers, they don't fix cars for a living. They're Saturday afternoon technicians. They're just regurgitating what they read on the internet, which also was wrong. You know, if this throttle body cleaning procedure didn't work, my truck would have been through probably 4 throttle bodies by now, maybe even 5. It just kills me. Motherfuckers just come up here doing drive-by comments on other motherfuckers' YouTube shits, which is kind of like why I don't allow comments, because fuck y'all. Nobody cares what you have to say.